Yeah, no, I can always keep the motor on, yeah.
Yeah, slow it down. Yeah. Even 60, 50. They're going to go less.
Okay. Anytime you're ready.
All right. So please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So you've heard us talk a lot about CAB and iAsk. Tonight is the night we get to actually thank and highlight some of the younger members of the CAB, our student leaders. So Joe, I don't know, do you want to lead us out on this one? Sure. So officially it's the iAsk Community Leadership Awards.
Yeah, it's really a special night for a lot of our students. As you know, the CAB meets all during the school year, and they do a lot of great work. It's been very interesting. I think we have over 50 students involved in it right now. And tonight you get to honor a few of the select ones that we felt were deserving of some recognition for some outstanding service. I would like to point out,
because of Danielle, right? They listen to the students that do it. So tonight you are going to get a chance to meet the best of the best. The 5 students that we have here are just completing their junior year. They have been with us month after month, either from 8th grade or 9th grade. 8th graders are appointed to the group. After that, you volunteer. So that's why we've had those people. 5 you're going to meet tonight are the very best of the best. They've been with us from almost the start, from 8th or 9th grade. And so we wouldn't be able to achieve nearly as much as we do without the work that they do. I want to thank them all personally for that. And I will tell you, in the year ahead, we choose them as juniors because this gives them a chance to use this as they apply for college. But it also means that these students will be here next year leading the way. They actually will actively be participating in helping us come up with the agendas for those meetings and the topics of discussion for those meetings and the speakers. So without anything more, saying anything more, I welcome you, give you a chance to meet each of the 5.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
So how would you like to do this, Chris? Should I read off the name and bring them up?
Yep, that would be good.
All right, we'll start with Jacob Constantine. Sure matches today. Ava Warner.
Ava.
Then we have Juliana Edelman. Nicolina Donardo. And Jacob.
Just stay there for a second. Stand across if you would. First of all, congratulations to all of you. Hold them open, there you go. Let all the mom and dads.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Senior Sports Awards.
You guys can go. You won't hurt my feelings. Thank you, guys. Thanks very much for coming. Next up, we have a presentation by the Rivertown Chamber of Commerce. Hello.
I'm going to need to switch slides. Should I?
Do you want? Yeah, sure. Just give us a second to get her up on the screen here. Once you join back in, we'll. I don't see you on the list. Yeah. Probably just dropped when you closed your.
Hey, Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
way of
Exactly. You have the link or? Yeah, just close, just turn your speaker off, turn your, yes. And then you should be able to share your screen anytime you want, and you'll be up on the TV there. There you go. Imagine, yeah.
Sensitive. All right. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Good.
Yeah, yeah.
My name is Michelle Adams. I am actually the immediate past president of the Rivertowns Chamber of Commerce. Our current president just had a baby, so he's taking a bit of a leave. And then we have Dina.
I'm the current vice president, acting treasurer of the chamber.
Thank you for letting us speak to you today. We thought that it would be helpful for all of the villages to hear a presentation on kind of who we are as a chamber and how we would like to collaborate with the villages going forward. So, just a few basics about the chamber. The basic definition of a chamber of commerce is it's a local association to promote and protect the interests of a business community in a particular place. What is a chamber member? This is actually our definition of a chamber member. We believe that a chamber member is a business owner that chooses to invest in the community where they do business for the collective betterment of the community and their business. So first and foremost, they're investing in the community because that's good for the community and it's good for their business, and everything else kind of comes after that. We think that businesses are important to the river towns because they're local owners, they're local employers, they're the anchors of our downtowns. The convenience of goods and services is also a key factor in deciding where to live, just like education. And money spent at local businesses is multiplied within the community. Our businesses help to keep spending local and attract dollars to be spent here from throughout the region. We charge dues as the Chamber of Commerce. We are a 501c6 organization. This means that membership, we must be a membership organization. Dues must be a significant source of income, but it does not have to be our predominant source of income. Our activities must be directed at promoting economic interests, and the performance of a particular service cannot be the organization's primary activity. So we're an organization, not an agency. People don't pay dues for a whole list of marketing perks. There's different benefits to why different businesses would join the chamber, but they're not paying directly for a benefit directly to their business. They're paying into the community. The success of our collective agenda and thus the benefit to the businesses, the business community depends on us having the resources to plan in a timely way. So we charge the dues at the beginning of the year, so we have a good idea of what we're starting out with for the year and how we might need to grow for the rest of the year. Why is the chamber itself important to the river towns on top of the businesses? So we have organized ourselves as a group of small business owners and entrepreneurs. Most importantly, we're able to recognize the complexities of owning a business, and we are in the best position to strategize how the community can support local commerce. We know how to brand collective efforts to maximize return on investment. That's what we do every day. We sell our business. We know how to do it. We are a collective group committed to bringing businesses together to build a stronger community. We do this by pooling knowledge and funds in order to provide members with valuable resources. We provide an informed voice to shape business-friendly policies. We have community-facing efforts which confer consumer confidence to member businesses. And we also represent 4 villages. This is unique to us. The Sleepy Hollow Tarrytown Chamber, I think, is the only other one in the county that represents multiple villages. This means that resources are shared rather than duplicated in each village. And it also means that reach is expanded. It builds community efforts across all 4 of the villages because, to be honest, the businesses share consumers across all of the villages as well. A quick overview of our member benefits so you can see what the selling points might be for a business to join. Different types of businesses will value different sets of benefits. The 3 categories we work under are publicity and promotion, networking and development, and downtown improvement and advocacy. We do a lot with little. Many benefits require no additional sponsorship beyond the dues payment. So this list I'm going to go through is you pay your dues. Here's a bunch of things you just automatically get to participate in as a member. It requires no additional funds. Publicity and promotion, there's a whole list of things here like having a link on the chamber website, decals to display in their place of business. They're able to share events and promotions on our community calendar, which gets automatically shared to the chamber's social media. They are able to participate in local, dine local and shop local initiatives that we have. We do new business ribbon cuttings. We have Felina, your new business, coming up next week on Thursday. Instagram stories and takeovers, we allow them to do takeovers. We share as much as we can in Instagram stories, and business referrals. Anytime anybody asks for a recommendation, we go straight to our members. Networking and development. A lot of our membership base is actually remote business, and so they really value this area. They enjoy the networking at quarterly meetings, which is free, and then we do a combination of in-person and virtual events to fit a variety of schedules. Those tickets are discounted for members. Access to resources such as economic development and research. We're always paying attention to things the county puts out, the state puts out, and we're putting that together on our website and in emails. We do business education workshops, and then develop different marketing opportunities. We listen to them if there's an advocacy issue that they would like to champion. And then lastly, downtown improvement and advocacy. We work to facilitate a dialogue between the businesses and local government. We look for state and federal advocacy opportunities and share that with businesses. We organize village-specific discussions. So we've had 2 already this year per village, and we have another one happening in the fall. They're on Zoom. Anyone is welcome to join. Member, non-member, trustees, mayor, anyone is welcome to join in on the discussion. Advocacies for downtown initiatives that would improve commerce. We're always thinking about what makes sense for the businesses because their purpose is to be here, to be on our main street, and to provide service and goods to local residents. We create opportunities to drive visitors to shop, dine, and utilize services locally. And we, as I mentioned before, we have a newsletter email that goes out with a lot of information from local to federal. So businesses who might want more than that, more than just kind of what comes with their dues. They could sponsor events or general chamber initiatives to get their logo, to get more links out there. They could host events in their location. They can curate educational workshops and speak on their area of expertise. They could purchase direct marketing opportunities through the chamber website, email, and social media. They can also lead projects that they feel are necessary for businesses to thrive. So we're not just stuck on these are the events that we do. If a member has something that they want to champion, we listen to it, we figure out how we can fold it into the processes and support them in moving forward with that idea. We have a few requirements. It definitely has to benefit a subgroup of businesses. It can't just be about their business. And some examples in the past are our holiday trolley, our shop local guide, Best of Westchester, and our women's social events. So I'm gonna let Dina take this slide.
Okay. So what does this look like in action? The board of directors consists of volunteer members, all small business owners, also for villages. The board of directors has 5 executive board members and 8 members who are village representatives. We try to have 2 village reps for each of the villages. They're all voting members. The board is where you go to get your important decisions are made related to managing the organization's legal and financial operations. We conduct advocacy efforts. We support member benefits and projects as needed. Project chairs, which Michelle mentioned, are volunteer members that drive a specific initiative of the chamber. And we have a small staff of contractors who are utilized as needed basis and as the budget allows. They do the sponsorship, they manage sponsorships and dues management, communication, website, emails, like the emails Michelle talked about, social media posts, and management and outreach. The dues collected to date for 2023 totaled $27,000. That comes from 108 active members currently. It's a small budget, and we do the best we can with it, but we do rely on sponsorships for specific events. That's very important in order to get things done, and the sponsorships come from both private businesses and from the villages, which partnered with in the past to accomplish our events.
So where we're at now is we feel that a further investment of time and funds expands our ability to support economic interests in each of the villages. We see sustaining growth as a few specific things. The first is obviously to increase membership, and we do that through prioritizing the needs of businesses. So we have found that when we plan an event that really makes sense and the businesses get excited about, we're able to get even more businesses to join and participate in that event. But we're open to other ideas besides events or networking. So we're always listening to what the needs of the businesses are. We increase events to drive awareness to our downtowns and provide fundraising opportunities to the organizations. So the events that we plan always have to have 2 things in mind. They have to get feet on the street for these businesses. They need volume to be able to pay rent and to stay open. And the costs have to be covered as a fundraising opportunity for the chamber. And then the third piece is we would like to expand our village partnerships. We've already started conversations in each village, figuring out how that makes sense. We've discussed Rivertown Public Market coming to Irvington, and we want to make sure that those partnerships are favorable to the chamber's growth, because we feel that if we can support the businesses, we're taking a big piece of that for you, and making sure that the village continues to grow and the businesses that are here continue to thrive. I'm going to go into this in more detail, but this is what we think are the key points to what a productive village chamber partnership looks like. Villages are open to collaboration. That includes the mayor, the trustees, the village staff. We encourage each village to consider a downtown advocate. Hastings has one. Dobbs Ferry has approved one. Ardsley is considering one. I don't know if you guys have ever considered one, but we've worked with Barb in Hastings for a number of years, and she is an asset. She's a great partner that helps to bridge the gap and helps to communicate important information. And she is paid to do a lot of things that we as small business owners can't do ourselves. She knows every landlord. She has her ear to the ground for anybody that wants to open business. And all of the new businesses that have opened in Hastings are a credit to her and the work that she's done, and the trustees, putting that investment in and letting that develop over time. Official recognition of the organization. This is something that we've seen in other chambers. So Sherry Asher, who is the chamber's liaison, or the county's liaison to chambers and small businesses, has really done a good job of connecting us to other chamber leadership and encouraging discussion between us. So we think that coming up with an official document that lists, so we understand from your side and our side what that partnership is going to look like. That could include in-kind services, budget allocation for projects, Furthermore, the collaboration is conversations and support. We'd like to talk about things before they come to a vote. If you think something's going to affect businesses, we'd love to hear about it. We'd love to try to get in contact with the businesses and have a discussion before any decisions are made. We'd love to be in regular communication with village staff about events that they're doing, events we might want to do, infrastructure concerns. The Downtown Advocate, like I said, we feel is a crucial partner. Official recognition of the organization. So this is coming from, Scarsdale has signed this with their business organization. And really it boils down to how are we going to collaborate together? What kind of in-kind services is the village prepared to provide in order for certain projects to move forward? And or is there budget allocation for certain projects to move forward? So that is, I hope, was a very quick summary for you, not too long. We tried to make it go fast. So if you have any questions, if there's time for questions, we can take them. Otherwise, you can email us with questions. Up to you guys.
Well, I mean, I think, I've seen, obviously, the chamber's changed a lot over the last 12 years or so that I've been the mayor. I think it's great that you guys did combine to make it river towns because, geographically, it's still a pretty small area. And we have many of the same issues and problems and those sort of things. I guess my one question I have is how have we done with getting local urban businesses to join? It's always been an issue. We've had, I remember going kind of door to door. I think right as it rebranded as River Towns, and it was still hard because it was like, a lot of the small businesses are like, hey, if I give my dues, what am I getting exactly? Like, what's my return on, investment immediately? So how have you done? I mean, now it's been several years that you've had, something to show them now. So how's it going with trying to get some of your businesses?
I think that we've learned a lot, and things have also changed because of the pandemic and the position that businesses are in. And it's really a messaging issue. We did in the beginning, I think, feel like we had to give them something for the money, but it's a few $100s a year. I mean, what can we really give them for a few $100s a year? And so thinking of it as this is a duty to the community, and if you buy into the collective, it's going to be better for your business on the whole.
We had success, and especially coming out of the pandemic last year, the tasting event.
Yep.
We had our biggest,
We had, yeah.
drive here, specifically all the villages.
Yeah. So like a direct benefit that like they're going to see right away. So the event, right, for the Main Street businesses that it made sense for, carrying that idea forward. Also, we have 3 village reps in Irvington. We have Charles from Insurance on Hudson, Stacy from Conscious Living Media, and then our new business, Nicole from Felina. She is very excited and very eager, and she's already been in businesses having multiple conversations with business owners, which takes a lot of time, but she's excited about it. She used to work for HUDCO, and HUDCO has been a big partner of the chamber and helped to produce events, so she understands everything that can happen and has happened with the chamber. I think she's going to be a big asset going forward for
I think one person drives it.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so of the 108 members that we have right now, the largest membership comes from Dobbs Ferry at 40, Bardsley's 8, Hastings is 25, Irvington is 19. And then with 16 others, we have some businesses that are physically located elsewhere, but they do business in the towns. But that 19 number really did increase last year. Those 2 years before that were
Any other questions? Otherwise, we appreciate it. We do look forward to working with you guys. Nice. Good shot. Thank you. Thanks very much. So I'll move along to announcements. So announcements. First one is that yesterday, the unveiling and dedication of the monument on Main Street is coming up this Sunday at 11 a.m. right here at Madam C.J. Walker Plaza. And 11 a.m. on Saturday. It's been 3 or 4 years in the making. So congratulations to commemorate done. It wasn't easy, but the day is here. We had checks over $25,000. One was to Sullivan Architecture for $98,237.50. And that was for architectural design services for the municipal building, the fire headquarters. That was from the capital funds. We had Bradhurst Site Construction Station Road Park Culvert Replacement General Fund for $517,822.82. We had State Line Fire and Safety replacement of the fire engine and first equipment capital fund for $48,197.50. Those guys landscaping for sidewalk repairs, replacement, and tree grade installations out of the general fund, $26,731.26. Next up is a public hearing to consider local law amending village code to list Juneteenth as a holiday. That's scheduled for Thursday, June 22nd, 2023 at 7 p.m. at Village Hall. We had actually declared this a holiday when it became a federal holiday. Now we're just updating our records to
Yeah, it's primarily the construction noise ordinance that we have that didn't reflect that, because that's actually listed out in our code. So it's a bit of
All right,
housekeeping.
let me just mention along the lines of Juneteenth, that there will be a picnic in scenic Hudson Park celebrating Juneteenth on the 19th from 1 to 3 p.m. with a rain date of June 25th.
Okay, then I will make a motion to have a public hearing. Second, all there. Then I guess lastly, my last announcement was, I just want to thank Joe Archino in particular and all the rec staff for all the work they did on Memorial Day. The Memorial Day Committee, particularly Handicap Earl Dawson, Kevin Gallagher, and Richard Park, for all the work they did. It was one of the largest turnouts we've had in my memory, probably since I was a kid. So it was great. The parade was back, and it was a beautiful day weather-wise, which I think helps. But the tradition continued, and it was kind of back in, at least well above pre-pandemic levels, which was great to see. So that's a special day, honoring some special people that gave their life that they're in 24 in particular. I just want to thank Joe in particular and all his staff for that. Next up, we have correspondence. Kind of bucket these into a couple overarching themes. First is we had a couple also asking us to make sure that the DOT does a great job on the Route 9 project. That was from Lisa Marie Antonelli and Jen Calori. And also from Gloria Lakey, all kind of encouraging us to ensure that the DOT does a good job. She's our representative and liaison to that committee. Is there any update?
There's a meeting on Wednesday. I think they're just waiting on the to pass resolution of creating that committee.
Next week.
I was going to say, does that come up at the back of last year's meeting?
Really talk about so much. Sure. The next up is some comments, I'd say, on gas-powered leaf blower ban. There's kind of two parts to this. There's the law that was passed 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 3 years ago, that would sunset use of all gas-powered leaf blowers if we don't act at the end of December, or in December of this year, 2023. Then we also have a public hearing tonight on really a tweak of the law that the police chief basically said we can't enforce the current law, which is the ban, from I guess May 15th to September 15th. That's what that is about tonight. So the public hearing is about a very specific topic, but I did ask in one of my letters from the mayor's desk for overall input, and I'm glad to see. I assume you guys are here to talk about leaf blowers, or it could be any other topic. But there's some familiar faces that I'd like to hear from, which I think would be great. So.
I know. Can't do anything about it.
Sorry. I think I'm gonna. It was just funny. I just was debating with Larry. I might actually just discuss these now because I think they're kind of on the bigger topic of the overall ban versus the specifics of tonight's law. So I think they probably fit outside the parameters of the law. So the first one's from Stephen Hardy. He's unable to attend the public meeting on the topic, and I would actually guess since the main topic of the full ban isn't going to happen until December, there'll be plenty of time for additional discussion on this in the fall. Because I don't think anyone really has strong feelings, at least not from feedback I've gotten on the current public hearing tonight. But anyway, the addition of sprayers probably makes sense, and I'm not familiar with the effectiveness of electric power washing devices. Right as of May 16th, we're in peak season for pollen and seeds dropping from trees at our house. Might hold up on power washing the second week of June, so I have to do it twice. The board might consider allowing gas sprayers until at least June 1st. On leaf blowers, I've read point I've made several letters limiting use of gas-powered leaf blowers is an important and worthwhile public good, and I agree with the ordinance. I just spoke to a landscaper, cell phone business who serves several homes in our neighborhood. He uses gas-powered leaf blower for about an hour a day. Spoke to him and he said one customer told him that of the May 15 restriction, a different customer told him to ignore it. Who would deliver notice to him and the homeowners? I believe the first step should be to find the homeowner in order to generate pressure and enforcement on the landscapers. But who will monitor legal use? I've heard before relying on neighbors to report neighbors is awkward and evidence so far that it fails an execution strategy. After 3 years of effort towards real change, now's the time for real effective execution. Police should stop by landscapers, easy to find, to ascertain whether they are registered as required with the village, deliver a Spanish and English summary of the law, give them written notice of first violation, asking them to deliver to their bosses. Put a sign on the community board at Broadway, Maine saying the leaf blower restrictions in effect, avoid a fine, find homeowners right away to signal seriousness, develop a plan for how the PD or other authorities will enforce this. Just for comparison's sake, there are usually 2 officers directing traffic while an iron is under construction. PD can staff that for several months. I hope one officer might be available to concentrated 2-3 days on this. The PS on that was was paying for them to have overtime. I don't think anyone's going to be paying for leaf blower enforcement. Develop an easier way for community members to be eyes and ears, maybe a web page where violations can be reliably reported using the company name, location, truck color, date, and time. That can serve as a reason to call the company for discussion, not a fine. The next one is from Tom Thacker. You're right, in support of the ban of gas-powered leaf blowers that are slated to take effect at the end of 2023. Landscapers and homeowners have 3 years to make the change over to all electric, and surely been a sufficient amount of time to do so. This ban is one of many steps the village can take to make the change to environmentally harmful landscaping practices that exist on many properties throughout the village. That's Tom Thacker and Kate Rowe. Next is Tom Wilson. For those working at home or otherwise enjoying their days at home, the reduction in noise, exhaust, and airborne debris has made a big difference. I've had the dates in my calendar since the law passed, and my family and I are really looking forward to the next spring when there should be no gas leaf blowers. In addition to improving our community quality of life, I think you're a set example for others in Westchester. Caesar Manfredi, who's here tonight, give you some thoughts on extending the exception for snow removal by gas-powered leaf blowers after December 2023. Half Moon has purchased battery leaf blowers and they're adequate for leaves since when the batteries run out, one can recharge for later in the day or recharge overnight and continue to use the next day. This rate for recharge works for Half Moon because we have our own staff that are here all the time. We don't utilize a contractor like other large properties might. When it comes to snow removal, there's no break to allow for recharge. The snow needs to be gone by early morning for those going to work. There's no time to recharge and finish snow later in the afternoon and early the next day. The alternative is to use the large 36 to 42-inch gas-powered snow blowers. This alternative would actually be worse than the leaf blowers ban is trying to achieve for the bigger and louder engines. Thank you for thinking about continued use. Keep in mind the use of a leaf blower would only be for light snow of 1 to 3 inches. Next one's from Cameron Solani. Wanted to say how excited I am about the ban taking effect. I think it's a massive step for Irvington to probably contribute to the fighting against climate change and making our village safer, healthier, happier, and better. Always thanks for everything you do, and I look forward to attending the meeting on June 5th to support legislation. Very long letter from the state about discharges into Hudson. Field Point. This is the Board of Directors of Field Point Condominium Association. Thank you for taking the time to have a thoughtful discussion on this important environmental topic. We respectfully ask the board to consider allowing the use of gas-powered leaf blowers March 15th through May 15th, October 1st to December 15th in emergencies and when removing snow. Field Point community has taken many steps to reduce use of fossil fuel-powered equipment on our property and agree with the need to curb the use of fossil fuels where we can. Unfortunately, we believe that a total ban without the current exceptions would cause a safety hazard for 53-acre Field Point development and economic hardship. We have many houses and townhouses in very close proximity to each other. Leaf build up between the units on decks and by outside HVAC units is a fire concern, and such we have those areas cleaned often. Current blower technology is not sufficient to clear these leaves in a time and manner that will keep our residents safe. Electric blowers are sufficient in the summer and non-leaf buildup months. We use them for this, but with the heaviest periods of fall and spring, they're simply insufficient to keep our 53-acre community safe. Once again, we remain in full compliance with current regulations and support Irvington in keeping the current regulations and exceptions. We do not support the expansion of the gas powered blower beyond the current regulations. Oops, I got another one from Route 9. That was from Britt R. Let's see. Next one is from Ann Altman. Gas-powered leaf blowers are well-documented public health hazard. They use those polluting machines to blast debris airborne, violate all things rights to peace, comfort, safety, and repose in their jobs, homes, schoolyards, and communities. Season ban on gas-powered leaf blowers has already been increased quality of life for those who live and work in the village, particularly those most vulnerable and directly affected, machine operators themselves, the children with developing lungs and heart, elderly, immunocompromised, and ecosystem. Important legislation, just like the Clean Air and Water Act, is also reason to be proud. Strong attention to Irvington. Getting code enforcement more efficient, like Washington, D.C., where citizens reporting code violations, negligence by text can help. Irvington is a beautiful village. It's fouled by the sounds and smells of omnipresent industrial equipment for cosmetic law and manicures. So she's in support. Next is Michael Curran. Let's see. I'd like to take the opportunity to provide my thoughts and proposal. My thought that technology of battery-powered leaf blowers has not matured to the point where they can totally replace gas-powered leaf blowers. My main concern is, as much as the ban is eventually needed to protect the environment and improve noise and fumes for our village residents, total ban result in the unintended consequence of increasing brush fire risk and deer tick prevalence. I'm a senior project manager for a local gas and electric utility, and have recently, April 14, 2023, dealt with major brush fire that cost millions of dollars in utility and home damage. See pictures enclosed. The fire was fueled by dry brush, which developed and spread quickly. The brush fire is not in California, just 8 miles from Irvington across the river in Congress, Rockland County. Prevalence of deer ticks and the resulting medical risk would increase in the fall brush were not removed in a timely manner. My family knows the health effects of Lyme disease, having gone through with several family members. This complex issue the board is dealing with, the ban would ultimately benefit the environment and village residents. I would urge the board to consider the points above. I propose that the ban be for 9 or 10 months per year, leaving limited use of gas-powered leaf blowers during the critical fall season, and really evaluate it annually as battery-powered equipment continues to improve. Again, it's Michael Curran. Let's see. Oh, pictures.
That's the one with the paper for on
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's it. Yeah, that's it on the gas-powered leaf blowers. We have another one on that pertains to the special permit, which I will hold on to. I also see Jesse Clinton here. And then we do have the long response from the Department of Public Service. I'm not going to read it. I think I'm just going to refer anyone who is interested in why they think it's okay to. I should just say it's about Indian Point decommissioning and allowing the water from there to go back into the Hudson. They go into great detail as to why it's not a concern. You can read it for yourselves. All the villages and towns and cities in Westchester, I think, have written a letter. Please don't do that. Find a better way than dumping it into the Hudson. But it looks like they're going to do it anyway. But I don't know. I guess we'll find out. But read it. It's about 10 pages of diagrams. I guess it's not as bad as the radiation from a banana. I can take it back. There you go. Yeah. So stay away from bananas on the radiation. I believe that is all of them, with the exception of Jonathan and Judy Siegel's letter about improvements, the Memorial Field capital improvements in the memory of Brian Clinton. We actually received, I would say, 25 letters about that. So why don't we hold that one over again, Larry? We're going to discuss the capital budget next Wednesday.
Yeah.
So we can put all those letters together. They were coming in fast and furious Friday, today, over the weekend. So we'll put those all together, but keep them going. So that's correspondence. Now we'll go into public comments, and what I'll suggest is those of you who want to talk about the leaf blower ban in totality, not the particular law, now would probably be a good time to do that, or any other topic that's not on Caesar.
Caesar Manfredi, I'm president of Half Moon South. You read the letter, it's self-explanatory, but one of the letters for the ban brought up the dust issue again. And I'm concerned that how one differentiates the dust that may spray around from an electric leaf blower is different than and more harmful than the dust that's sprayed around with a gas blower. I just don't think dust is an issue. We should concentrate on other matters.
Okay. Please.
My name's Alan Chout. I live up in the Field Point condo complex, and I'm going to read because it's easier. I'm here with the knowledge and consent of our board of directors to expand a bit on the comments they expressed in their email to the village. In the most simple terms, while a total ban of gas-powered leaf blowers may be adaptable for most, a change over to electric will simply not work in a property our size and could in fact be severely detrimental to our community. Further, many of the reasons originally cited in the decision to shift just don't apply to us in the first place. Field Point, as some of you know, is a community of 158 condo units spread over 53 acres of land. When the village board first contemplated a ban on gas-powered blowers, the very first set of regulations that was enacted included an exception for larger properties, either half an acre or a full acre or greater. The prevailing opinion at that time was, by the time the full ban goes into effect, battery technology would have risen to the point where batteries can take over. Clearly, this has not been the case. In the mayor's letter to the community dated May 15th, he concedes that while still not as powerful as the largest gas blowers, they're adequate for most jobs. I submit that most jobs perhaps leaves open the job on a 53-acre property. Further, when the village board spoke at a recent work session with an expert on all things electric, that gentleman also conceded that electric does not possess the same power of gas. Finally, as I'm sure you're aware, the town of Greenburgh recently enacted regulations on usage of leaf blowers. This very recent action also differentiated between small and large properties in determining the extent of usage on a given property. In addition, I believe Larchmont may be the only village that has a total ban. Most villages have restrictions that allow the use of gas blowers during the spring and fall cleanup because they simply do a better job. When the village board first conducted hearings on this issue several years ago, besides the environmental issues, many of the complaints revolved around frequency of interruptions by gas blowers and that people could not use their outdoor areas as a result. Common sense would tell you that this was especially the case where many smaller properties were clustered together and where nobody knew when the next landscaper would show up and blow a property clean. In Field Point, blowing occurs one time each week. The time spent directly in front of any given unit is a few minutes at most, and the blowers are not audible at one location for more than 15 or 20 minutes. At Field Point, the landscaper comes in, starts in one end, proceeds to the next, and he's finished. There are also financial ramifications. Besides the cost of a full switch to electric equipment, the number of man hours required to adequately clear a property of Field Point size, especially during the fall leaf season, would increase exponentially. Our current landscaper has a customer in Larchmont, and he shared that those invoices have doubled during the spring and fall cleanup. For us, doubling of an invoice would be an additional $34,000 a month. So it's not a trivial amount. Many areas of our property border directly on woodlots, and it wouldn't surprise me if it took double or even triple the man hours to deal with the huge layers of leaves generated in the fall. And we're not permitted to just put leaves back in the woodlots. We're forced to remove them. In this area of inflation, this is one place where you could help us avoid it. Our landscapers also shared that during fall and spring cleanup on our property, he'd have no choice but to use a gas-powered generator to keep the batteries charged. It's got to follow follow around with batteries charging at all times. Apparently, the batteries last approximately 1 hour and take multiple hours to recharge. Finally, there's an issue which really hasn't been discussed very much, although Mike Curran did mention it in his correspondence to you. There are definitely areas of our property that will not receive the same attention with electric blowers. Any area that was previously clean and is now partially clean can become a resting place for ticks and other flying disease carriers. The more your property has debris scattered in it, like the woods, the more possible it is that your property will harbor disease-carrying incidents just like the woods. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that there are some in Field Point who believe that electric is the answer. But I, as well as our board, believe that the reasons for the change to electric are clearly not as apparent here as they are in smaller properties, and that our residents would suffer a great consequence, and maybe even a health consequence, if full compliance were required. Our residents would be better served by keeping the current regulations in place until such time there's a technology in electric blowers that yields results similar to current levels with a lesser financial burden. I've had the pleasure of meeting a couple of you over the years. I see you as intelligent, common sense individuals. I hope that common sense tells you that application of the new guidelines to 80 or 90% of our village would be a great step forward, but that forcing the guidelines where they could very well cause more harm than good in a location that really didn't meet the criteria for change in the first place would be counterproductive. Please consider our request for exemption from electric requirements during spring and fall cleanup seasons. Thanks for your time. Thanks for listening. Thanks to your service and community, and you, Mr. Mayor, in particular, who's going to be saying goodbye. Thank you for all you've done over the last years.
Appreciate it.
Hello, I am John Seller. I am a member of the Junior Green Policy Task Force, and I am in 7th grade at Irvington Middle School. So I walk home every day, and at least twice a week, I have to walk by these landscaping companies who use gas leaf blowers, and they really aren't good for your health. The gas that they release into the air can damage your lungs. The noise can reach over 100 decibels and can damage your hearing as well. And as the man before me said, as the fact that the landscapers, as he said, they usually use them for at least 15 to 20 minutes, but around where I am, they use them for over an hour, and it's really not great. And having to walk by them on the way to school and to and from school it's just hazardous in general, and it's not good for me or the people around me. And it's also very bad for the people using them as well, because it can damage their hearing. For even if they wear headphones, it can still damage their hearing, and they still have to inhale the fumes from the blower itself. If we keep them around, the effects, it'll also affect our ecosystem, and it's just not good for the environment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Who's next? Please.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Give me 1 second here.
Sure. You're done.
Just wrote down a couple of notes here. My name is Anthony.
Say who you are.
He was about to. My name is Anthony Volpone. I'm third generation of landscapers and board member, New York State Turf and Landscape Association. I consider myself a professional in the business. With that being said, I'd like to address the proposed upcoming change of blower law. Basically, the battery blowers don't work as far as the gas in the spring and fall cleanups. You just don't even come close. I'm just gonna break this down quick. And the battery blowers don't have enough power like the gas powers do. The extra time needed to clean a property, it's gonna be expensive for the homeowners. Mulching leaves help, but it's not the answer. You need to still blow off the leaf particles into the bushes or beds or whatever, just to get rid of them. I have videos on leaf management, and happy to show you in the fall when the leaves are coming down heavy. When we understand about the noise pollution, we do, but what about the chainsaws, jackhammers, etc.? And all right, so I manage the grounds at Hudson House. Okay, now the Hudson House leases the property to RC Country Club, where the tennis courts are. They're allowed to use the blowers. I am not. I understand the reason of that, because it's still Hudson House's property. So, and if you'd like to discuss this further, please contact me. Let's talk this out.
I think, well, one question I can ask now is, so one of the big things I don't understand is, I get the fall cleanup and I get the spring cleanup.
Right.
My own landscaper, and the ones directly on either side, which are different, use them all year round. Like, they literally use them every week of the year that they come. They don't come every week. They use them all year. And I go out and I said, hey, guys, you don't have to.
No, I get it.
So can you explain what the thought process? Because when I say that, they say, well, the homeowner wants it. But I said, I told you 5 weeks in a row, I don't want it. And they still do it. Like, what's the leaf blowing addiction that we have? Because I honestly think, like, if it wasn't like that, if it wasn't all July and August and May, like, if it wasn't all year, we wouldn't be talking about, and also how many weeks do we need to have a fall cleanup and a spring cleanup, in your opinion? What's the minimum amount you could have?
All right, so we started March 15th, right, till what, May 15th?
Yeah.
That's fine. That's fine for us.
Could you do it if it was, say, just a month? Or
No.
you need March 15th?
Yes, absolutely. You got all the pollen coming down, there's particles coming down, you still gotta clean it. What happens when it rains? When it rains, you can't clean as properly as, you need the gas blowers.
Because that's what, so, like, okay, pollen, like, why do we have to blow pollen? Like, I'm not trying to be facetious, I'm curious, like.
It's messy. It's like dust. It's, people complain about this. Trust me when I tell you, they'll complain. I got a complaint today. You didn't clean my driveway. Yes, we did.
Yeah.
But it's not done.
That's honestly, like, that's exactly like, and I think you're right. I think the public, there's part of the public that they want it to be
Correct.
impeccable all the time. And to me, that's like one of the things I think that this law would help you with, is you could say, we'd love to blow your driveway 3 times a week. The big bad village or the big bad government won't let us do it.
That's what we're gonna do. You know that.
But to me, it's like, I just don't, I honestly don't get the, like, when, like, literally, I clean my car, right?
Right.
And then I go back and it's covered in pollen again. Like,
Yeah.
So it's like, it's just like, but I don't then do it every day. Like, I
Right.
can wait until the pollen's done or whatever.
Right.
Like, I don't need to, I don't know. It just seems to me like there's a disconnect somewhere between what's necessary and what maybe people have expected all along.
They do expect it.
Yeah.
They do. They want the places clean. When they come home from work or wherever they are, they want it clean. And I've been getting complaints, how come, I can't do it.
Yeah.
Now, the extra time needed to clean that property, I got to charge the customer. And they're not going to be happy. I'll tell you that right. They're not going to be happy. And honestly, a lot of people that I know are not going to work in Irvington anymore just because of this. But, we still need the way the law, you leave the lower ways now, it's fine. We could deal with it. Me, I take the blowers off the trucks. But there's certain towns, you can use them, you can't use them, so I always have one on the truck.
Yeah, I do think that.
So I think they should just put if all the towns got together, this is the law for everybody, we're good. But you could use this time, you can't do that,
Yeah, no, that's.
And then you try to, there's a language barrier with the, they don't get it. So I told my guys, you get a ticket, that's your ticket.
Yeah, that's hard too, but.
Well, that's the way it is.
Yeah, so I think sometimes it'd be better if we seated the homeowner, because they're the ones asking you, at least in theory, that they're
Right.
saying, hey, you have to blow every week you come, or twice a week if you come twice a week.
Right.
And if you say, okay, well, let's keep finding them. And if they're happy with that, then that's,
Well, I think we should, if we could just slate this, push this off aside. You guys want to come with me in the fall time, I'll show you. Sometimes the blowers don't work. I have to push I got like a plow that I push the leaves to the curb and then suck them up with the vacuum. And I got videos of that too, it's a real deal. You got leaves up to your knees, the blowers don't even do it.
And I think I think if there was because again, we went from we need it for when it's up to your knees or
Right.
up to your ankles even. I get that. Or when they're wet. To me, when they get wet
Exactly.
and you can't blow them at all,
No.
it's a pain in the ass. But to me, it's we going from that to I need to blow pollen almost all year. Because that's where I think there's a difference between what the homeowners expect or expectations are. And I think some of it they may not be their expectations, but you don't want to get that complaint, right?
No.
This guy's complaining about it, you might as well do the guy next door too. I don't know. To me, I think if it was kind of waning and going away, there wasn't so much blowing. But I think
No, I get it.
I
Sometimes
a couple times a week, and there was one. I told Larry one day it was almost 4 hours of straight leaf blowing. So I had the window open in the spring, and it's and this was in May.
Right.
There's maybe they're all blowing pollen. I don't know, but it just seems like it's there's the extremes. We can't ever have a gas powered leaf blower, which to me seems extreme.
Mhm.
And then there's we have to blow every week because there's something to blow.
You see-
July, I see with my clippings of my
Right.
grass. And I'm like, guys, what are you doing? It's
Right.
it's too much. It almost becomes a thing.
All right, so I'm with my guys too, so I manage to. I don't just let them run rampant. So properties like Hudson House, I do it in 2 hours. That's a big piece of property. So I put all my crews together, we just hit it hard and we're out. And the bigger properties, everybody's together. So, yeah, it's loud, but we try to get in and out.
Brian, Arlene's on.
Okay.
Arlene? You just have to take yourself off mute.
Okay, I guess I have a question about, I just quickly, I guess are landscapers educating their workers? Because it seems to me unfair for the workers to pay the ticket if they're not really, unless they're being educated about what the rules are in each
They're
place.
told not
That's
to
sort of
use
my
the
first
blowers.
comment. And then the second thing is, okay. And then the second comment is, I think with just going on what you're saying, Brian, which is a lot of this is behavior, right? If we don't move forward or we don't address this issue, then yeah, people are going to want, this constant blowing and never going to want any change, right? Because you can have someone come, the landscaper comes to my house and blows the leaves, and then by the time I get home, I want to know why I'm paying the landscaper, because it's like he was never there, right? So during those heavy times, I think it's really it's very difficult. And I think there's a bit of a change in behavior that I think is not happening naturally. That's sort of the concern, right? The behavior is not getting modified.
Right. And you're correct with that. Sometimes you clean a property, 20 minutes later, it's trashed.
Yeah.
But it's that heavy month. And then after that dies down and you catch up. So,
So,
No, good.
oh, please, someone else online.
There's someone online, yeah.
okay.
But yeah, we appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Should we take the online person?
Sure, we'll take that online person, because then we can listen to him break up on Zoom.
We'll see, yeah. There you go.
Jeff, you're up.
Okay, I don't know if you can hear me yet, but I pushed on mute.
You sound good.
Can you see me or no?
We cannot.
No problem. A non-visual.
Perfect. Loud and clear then.
Okay, thank you. Here I'm standing next to my truck. It's loaded with 2 48-inch mowers, 4 weed whackers, small mower, 6 blowers. So all of it's electric. And I run a company that can service small properties like quarter acres, all that stuff. Acre, no problem. 2 acres, no problem. I also do like 24 acres. I do the leaves and the lawn all year long. I do the beds, I do the mulch, I do the grass, I do the applications, I do the tree work on mansions. So I do all of it on mansions. I do it on condominiums. So I have a community of 50 homes in Norwalk. A condominium, a different one, it's like 12 units condo. I'm in New England too. There's tons of leaves. So I've been trying to use the electric equipment for 4 years, and this is my 5th season, and I've had 100% success. All of my clients are happy. Some of them have told me that the bills are lower than the gas landscapers. This includes the cost of leaf cleanup and everything. So I really respect all the landscapers that are out there, and the gas companies using those, the companies using the gas tools. You know, it's great stuff and they do great work. It's totally understandable. Everybody's concerned that they're not strong enough. They're not going to do the work. It's going to take longer. You're going to charge more and all this stuff. But I will just tell you, I've spent 4 years seeing if that's the case. And it's just not. The math is not there. Okay. The crews are happy. I am moving through properties quickly. I don't have any of the problems listed tonight. I thought some of the speakers were very eloquent, but just wrong on the facts. I'm not sure how many of them are using electric blowers already, but before they say they're not strong enough, they should use them on this, you know, as if they are the only tool without gas. So it all works, and I don't want to take a lot of time, but I am available for questions after I stop speaking in a moment. But
Jeff, since we're not the landscaping experts, why don't we give them your contact information, and they can. I also don't want to have a debate here tonight because I want to get home at some point. So why don't I give them your contact information? If you can give that to Larry Schaffler, and then they can talk to you about what you're doing versus what they're seeing, because you know I believe them when they.
Thank you. Well. I like that. I really like that concept. So that's actually okay with me, because I got into this with the idea of trying it, and if it works, I'm going to share whatever I know with the guys that are out there. I'm not looking to like make money to share my info. I'm happy to share how I'm using my electric machines and getting her done on big properties, like big and small properties. So thank you for that. And
I'll your information to them so they can talk to you, because I also believe that, you know, I firmly believe that if they could just switch and they're really comfortable with it, they would do it as well, because they'd rather not spend their night here talking to us about it. So I will take you up on your offer to talk to them. And Larry, do we have his contact information?
Yeah, I can reach him.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we'll share that with our local folks here that are here tonight.
Okay, thank you. And just so you know, I have previously run trainings for landscapers for many years, providing certification. So in the case of electric landscaping, if the town of Irvington would like to, you know, host a workshop, I can give the lowdown to whomever wants to show up on how I do it.
Okay, thanks, Jeff, for that.
Thank you for.
Yeah, the chamber can bring all the meetings together, and they can all meet at
Thank you,
Villa
Jeff.
Laura.
Oh, there we go.
Anybody else want to talk about leaf blowers or anything else at this time?
Hand over there.
Thank you.
The ambulance.
I was going to say something else, but after listening to everybody, I thought I'd change. I'm Lisa Antonelli. I sent you a couple of letters. I live in Legend Hollow, where many homeowners are very proud of having pristine lawns, or else they feel pressure to have pristine lawns, a lot like Field Point, which is beautiful as well. The landscapers there that do the common areas and most of the houses, I think, not mine. They use Barbary, they use all the pesticides, they use gas blowers still and all that. My gardener and I just tried this past fall doing the Love 'em and Leave 'em, and it worked really well. And I live in a heavily wooded area with a lot of leaves coming down. and they mulched, and there you could see there was like lines of leaves mulched up on the ground. And at some points they do say, you know, there's just too much, we have to blow a little bit of this off because there's just too much, it'll kill everything. But they did leave quite a bit. And we use no pesticides, but this spring there were a lot fewer dandelions. I would say maybe like less than 6 dandelions, whereas normally I was covered with dandelions because we use no pesticides. And it was the only thing we changed. So I think it must have been from that. We also participated in No Mow May this year, which was great. And we did overseeding beforehand and to let it grow in a couple areas just to see how that worked. And it worked great. So I'm going to expand it to more of my property, which is kind of large. Our hope is to develop some practices that achieve the level of pristineness that I think a lot of people in Legend Hollow are looking for, and probably Field Point as well. But I think if we do use the electric and some of these other pollinator pathway friendly type practices, you can get the look that people are looking for. And when they do blow, I ask them to just blow the hardscapes, you know, which is a lot easier to blow than the entire land, and they go through quickly, and you can easily do that with electric. The other thing I was going to ask is if we can make there used to be on the Healthy Yards website a sustainable landscaper page, which I believe Charlotte Binns, the Green Policy Task Force, took over. But communicating all these sort of ideas and practices seems to be very difficult. So I was wondering if on the village website page, under where it's all caps and says residents, and then underneath that there's a resources for every day, and then you can click into Metro North or cable TV or electric and gas. Could we put landscapers there? And then instead of just having the system of fines for people who don't abide by the law, there could be a reward system where you click into landscapers and it directs you to the Green Policy Task Force page, which has the list of all these great landscapers in our area, so that when new homeowners come to Irvington, they can find cable TV and all these other, and then this nice list of landscapers. It's sort of a reward system and not just a penalty system.
Great. The elevator is not you. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
I have two more online?
Yes.
Nikki Covington.
Hi, Nikki
Okay.
Covington, 3 Jaffrey Park. I'd like to just address the experience of the homeowner and the relationship with the landscaper and the communication to the landscaper, and the need for the education of the landscaper about what is available. So I used to mow my own lawn with my electric mower and blow it with my electric blower until I got a shoulder injury. So I hired a local landscaper who is basically a one-man operation with occasionally his son, and he uses, he's very old school. He uses, a gas mower and a weed whacker, and had been using a gas blower. And I encouraged him to use my electric blower. But then he, last weekend, he brought his new gas leaf blower, and he was complaining about how the batteries didn't work very long. And so I offered him to use my electric blower, which I bought in fall of 2016. And he loved my leaf blower compared to his, because it has a really variable speed power that you can conserve your battery energy by using only low power when you need it, and then using the high power when you have to. I really think that there's a need for educating landscapers, and maybe the village could host this. Maybe I know that Parks and Recreation, Joe Archino, previously hosted a demonstration of electric equipment. I think if we could host sort of a show and tell of landscaping equipment and the sort of the best of the best right now, we could really influence people from the landscaper point of view. And then, of course, there's the education of the homeowner. And I'm just going to close with a little sound effect, if you don't mind. This is my 2016 leaf blower.
Sounds like a cat.
Does the cat
So one kitty power.
So low, I can't even.
They don't make them like they used to in 2016, I guess. Can you describe the sound?
Variable.
Are we supposed to go hear something?
I don't know.
Nikki, are you running it? We can't hear anything.
Oh, you want to hear it again? All right.
No, it was just very quiet.
We couldn't hear anything. We didn't know if you had turned it on yet or not.
We get the message.
Yeah, I think it's quiet. I think that's the takeaway. Thank you, Nikki.
That was the question you asked.
We have someone else at home, right?
Yes.
We're banning sound effects for the rest of the. Alan Richardson.
Hi, everybody. How you doing tonight?
Good, how are you?
I just wanted to speak to the ticketing process, the way it is currently being done for violations. I had a conversation with Charlotte Benz, and I'd mentioned to her that I live at the end of Dutcher Street, and the large properties next to me use gas leaf blowers every week. I mean, it has not stopped since the May 15th deadline. And I've had conversations with my neighbors. They don't seem that interested. And I don't call the police. And the reason I don't call the police is because I'm aware the hourly wage worker using that leaf blower has no power. That wage worker is being handed a gas leaf blower and told, go clear those leaves. And yet that's who we're ticketing. And it makes no sense to me. That person has no power to change the situation. The people who have the power to change the behavior are the contractors, the owners of the lawn care companies, and the homeowners. So I just want to say that until we get our legislation correct and are addressing the real cause of the violation, I'm not sure we're going to make that much progress on this. And that's all I've got to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else online? Anyone else in person? Please.
Good evening. My name is Brian from Ultimate Care Landscaping. I'm in business for 37 plus years. And I'm hearing what everyone's saying here as far as like in the off season after May 15th, not to use the gas powered blowers, which we do not. I have 6 battery operated blowers, best on the market. They're backpack, probably a battery lifetime of 40, 45 minutes. I understand not the spring nor the fall, but the bottom line is here, you cannot clean properties with electric blowers. I mean, the technology just is not there. And basically, you're just leaving all these contractors out to dry because we have no weapons to fight the fall season. And listen, until the technology catches up, and at this point in time, it's certainly not even close. I mean, it's just a crime to, as I said, I started my business from scratch, 37 years, and I know it's just going to be like a big swing over as far as clients switching landscapers. Maybe they're going to do a better job. But the bottom line is you have to look at reality here. There's no way and I heard the gentleman what he was saying. He does places in Massachusetts. I love to see it. I maintain Woodbrook Gardens right in Irvington. Take a walk by there. It's, in the mid-November. Well, guess what? So the leaf situation. I understand what you're saying that, but also, you have to think of also like a slipping factor. If you have all wet leaves, even on the surrounding grass, you have the wind, it blows it back on the walkways. People are going to slip. Listen, I'm totally with you guys as far as like in the off season. I do not use the gas powered blowers at Woodbrook or any of my properties during the restricted time. But the spring season and especially the fall season, there is no possible way to combat a Westchester County leaf season. Thank you.
Thank you. Caesar, you can go after. Let everyone go first. Everyone gets their first time, then you can come again.
I didn't realize.
No, yeah. Colantuno gets to go first.
Hi, my name is Patrick Colantuno, co-owner of Those Guys Landscaping Contracting. I agree with a lot of points brought up here tonight. My biggest that I agree with is what Brian just said. Spring and fall, there's no way. There's no way you can do it with battery or electric. And the biggest reason why my company is not going to turn to complete battery is because they're non-renewable. We're developing lithium trash here. The amount of earth that has to be mined to make one battery is astonishing. And I would like to know how many people that are fighting the batteries really know what is put into making them. The manufacturing waste that comes from the factories. There's a lot of other things that are hurting the environment while you're trying to help the environment. Swinging everything that fast, I think it's going to be a tremendous, it's going to be detrimental. You're putting more batteries, excuse me, you're putting more batteries in people's hands, and are they throwing them away properly? Are they going to landfills? What's going on with them? Has anybody researched third world countries like China or Africa where the lithium is mined? How they do it? Is the equipment like the equipment in the US where it has to be, it's the new clean diesel like that started out in California? That's not happening over there. So is it better that we have all these non-renewable batteries that are now trash, or we slowly get into it and improve, over time? But as far as the cleanups, it's some of these customers. I mean, we don't want to be out there leaf blowers all the time, and we take ours out of the trucks for the ban. May 15th to September 15th, our guys are not allowed to use blowers. Battery, that's it. We have one battery blower on each truck. They hit the hardscapes, walkways, pool patios, driveways, and that's it. We don't go chasing leaves down the street. We don't pull out 5 blowers just to blow off grass clippings. It's unnecessary, and it costs us more money than just using a battery on the hardscape. That's really all I wanted to point out. Thank you.
Thanks. Please. Sorry, Caesar. Don't forget what you want to say.
Hi, everyone. My name is Aditi Chang, and I sent in a letter, but I missed the deadline. I wasn't planning on speaking, but I just want to say one thing. Why are we fighting a war against leaves, against nature, against the outside? So in my yard, for 7 years, we have not used any gas equipment. We have one electric weed whacker that we deploy maybe twice a year. We leave all our leaves. We use brooms and rakes on the hardscaping. Sometimes we mulch a few leaves because 3 huge oaks make a lot of leaves that don't break down quickly. But all the leaves stay on our property whole, and everything is flourishing. We don't really have much lawn, but what's the beauty in a lawn? There's no flowers, there's no insects, which means there's no birds. And once you start going up the food chain, we're next. We have 4,000 species of native bees on this continent, and they need bare ground. They need leaf cover. They need different heights of grasses. They need our native plants. And this is not counting the butterflies and the moths and all the things. And the birds need them to feed their babies. We all want the birds, but we don't want the insects. I think it would be really great to see a change towards embracing Mother Nature. Let's not make her adhere to these artificial, harmful beauty standards. And you had the rest of my letter to read later. Thank you.
Thank you. Caesar, go quickly.
Before someone raises their hand.
Yeah.
Caesar Manfredi again, and I guess we mulch the leaves to death here, but Don't forget the snow blowers, snow removal for the gasoline leaf blowers. I believe, I spoke to one of the directors up at Fieldson, they use gas powered for snow removal blowers. I think a lot of people, I think, Pat, you probably use leaf blowers for snow removal, light snow. So, you know, it's, everybody does. It's the easiest way to get the small snow off without pulling out a 36-inch snow blower. So don't forget that. And I'm sorry I missed the the memo about gray beards. Is it going to carry over to the planning board? No.
I shave once a week now, so this is my COVID one major change.
It's amazing how you all come in gray.
That's scary. It's not great. Please.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to also mention a few things about the gas power leaf blowers and the ban that we are welcoming as our family. We believe that when it comes to leaves, the words that were used, fight, and I'm sorry, it was like I had to really come in person. I was cooking dinner. but it just the perception that the leaves had to be fought, and it's a crime not to blow away every single little dust that is on the ground. It almost seems like trying to think about the way people perceive nature, just an idea that our outdoors has to look just like our clean carpet at home. It just seems that there's some disconnect there. I don't know the words that you were using. It's more of a words that police or military would be using. So when it comes to crime, I believe that a lot of the landscaping companies lately, unfortunately, kind of disconnected from real gardening and skills there. And it seems like what they're doing at the moment is more of a just blowing and cleanup. And they don't understand what it means to nurture nature. So I really would love for everyone to think about it, why you started this business. Was it because you felt like, wow, these powerful, amazing machines are what I like to ride or blow? It just makes me feel so strong and powerful. Or was it really that you actually care about nurturing the soil, planting plants? I don't ever see landscapers planting plants. It's really just about blowing lately. And I feel so sad about that. I really believe you should think about it, how you really want to change your attitude towards nurturing the land you're taking care of, instead of just removing with like very powerful air polluting gas power leaf blowers. I have to talk to you this way because it seems like, you know, you are the ones who really should be changing your practices. It's not that we are trying to fight your work. We just hope you will change your style of work. So,
Man, it's still worth the question about the homeowner. It's not what we want to do, it's what we have to.
I believe that it's about not just demand, it's about what you also offer. It's about the different ways you can look at things, and it's more complex than that. And you definitely should be thinking about it. It's really from both sides. You can be the ones coming forward.
Could you address the board, please?
I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm so sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Just, I would like to just mention overall, we know very well the health risks of gas power leaf blowers and all the air pollutant emissions that they are exhuming. And I think it's really pretty clear. And the reason why we're trying to limit them is because we know that already the equipment, and as we heard also from Jeff Cordowak, is powerful enough to help in many ways. So why do we need to go back to the practices that we know are actually harmful? The hearing as well, we know that it affects it. It can be very detrimental. And I just hope that people will actually listen more to the other side of the problem and not just see that, you know, it's okay to go ahead with the practices that are harmful. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Okay, anybody else? It's gonna be pretty anticlimactic when we get the actual public hearing now, but it's okay. All right, next on the consent agenda. Anyone have questions, comments on this?
Just so it's unusual to have something that you weren't the one offering the motion on, because you have to abstain because of the fire.
That's right, that's right. And actually, I'm also going to abstain from this one because my son is being appointed to Teamscape, so.
Oh, I should have noticed that this is.
Yeah, there's a lot of mess, but if someone could make a motion.
I will make a motion to pass.
If we could have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next is continuation of the public hearing requesting a special permit for adaptive reuse of historic building at 67 North Broadway, Bill Lawaro.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the board. Jennifer Gray from Keenan Bean on behalf of the applicant, Bill Lawaro LLC. I have no comments on leaf blowers, gas or electric, so don't worry. Also no sound effects. I'm joined here tonight by William James, the owner's representative, along with George Alessandratos from my office, and Steve Tilley and Stephanie Reinhardt from Tilley Architecture. Joining us on Zoom, maybe any one of three people. And Larry, maybe you can let me know if any of them are here. Erica Seaborn from Polsinelli Law Firm, Alelia Bundles, and of course, Rich Dennis.
First two, yes.
Yes.
Not Rich.
Great, thank you. So we were here on May 15th for the opening of the public hearing on our application for a special permit for the adaptive reuse of Villa Lawaro. We heard from several of our neighbors at that time. Since then, at the direction of the board, we have been endeavoring to schedule a meeting with the neighbors, and I believe we have a date of June 7th at 5 p.m. Via Zoom. There's been a little bit of difficulty with travel schedules, et cetera, to get a date pinned down, but I believe that is the date going forward. We also understand that the board has a draft of proposed special permit conditions for your review. We've had the opportunity to review that document, and we just have two comments that we'd like to share. One is for special permit condition number 2. That is the one that says that all events shall require pre-registration or shall be invitation only. We would like to suggest that the second sentence of that condition be struck, which says that participants shall be informed that no additional guests will be permitted on site. We believe it's duplicative of the first. If you're requiring pre-registration or invitation only, that necessarily means that there'll be no additional guests. So we would ask the second sentence be struck as duplicative. If we were to put that on our programs, it sounds unwelcoming or sort of uninclusive, which is not really the tone that we're trying to set. But of course, pre-registration will be required, and events and programs will be invitation only. Our second comment is on special condition number 9. And that is the condition that relates to loading and unloading of passengers on from buses or from cabs or other car services. And it says that buses of any size shall not load or unload passengers on Broadway, Fargo, or any other village street in the proximity. We would ask that the board consider adding, unless otherwise permitted by the village. And the reason why is that we believe that there could be circumstances where a bus could load or unload relatively quickly, either on Broadway or on Fargo, could unload or load passengers in a way that's not going to be disruptive. This would have to be coordinated with the village, of course, subject to whatever protocols the village would put in place at that time. Maybe we'd have to retain off-duty police officers to direct traffic for that 20 minutes or whatever it may be. But we think it makes sense to leave open that flexibility for an occasional loading and unloading of passengers from the street rather than have the bus come on site. Again, no intentions of having that be a regular occurrence, but we wanted to suggest that just to give some flexibility for us to coordinate with the village for appropriate circumstances to allow that to happen on occasion. And that is it. Those were our only comments on the conditions. We're happy to answer any questions. I know the public hearing is still open, so we're happy to hear from members of the public as well.
Marion, did you want to frame anything before we start, or not? I mean, this is, we obviously, give a little background here. The board met with you to draft the special permit conditions.
Yeah, I guess there was some question about where they came from, and they were drafted very similar to the Octagon House permit. They're clearly a draft. There wasn't an intention to vote on them tonight. Some people seem to object to them being ready, but the point of having a draft, it was actually my suggestion, was so that the public could comment on the conditions, and they want to, encourage the board to modify them or something. And so that's what hopefully we'll do tonight.
Okay, I think that's helpful context, I think. I know the board doesn't really want to say before we open up to public comment, but
I'd like to know more about, number two, as a lawyer and a writing professor, making things more succinct is always, you're going to get on my side for that. But for number 9, explain to me because Broadway is a major, it's a state road, it's the main north-south thoroughfare. I get annoyed when I see the FedEx truck stop on Broadway to let out, whatever. I'm like, my reaction is, what are you doing? This is like, why don't you stop on 87? I mean, it's a major road in blocking it. What's the thinking behind wanting to do that? Because if the FedEx truck for 5 minutes bothers me, if there was a bus there for 20 minutes, I think I'd be very mad.
Yeah, and not limited to Broadway either. Fargo, on the other side of the property, would be another possible place where a bus could load or unload, or even a car service. And again, this was not something that, we don't have any intentions of having buses load or unload from Fargo or from Broadway, but just something we thought might be useful to have the flexibility to be able to have that opportunity to coordinate with the village in the event it could be done with the assistance of off-duty police officers to direct traffic, and do it in a way that is going to be minimally invasive or disruptive to
Brian,
to the public.
Can I just point out that language comes directly from your statement of use? You say how that buses of any size will be instructed not to load or unload passengers on Broadway, Fargo Lane, or any other village street. It's from your own statement of use, which is appended as an appendix.
And when you want to be closer to if you're busing people in, wouldn't you want them to be closer to the place they're going? I guess I still understand the reason for the
Again, it was just to allow for flexibility for unforeseen circumstances. That was it. That's the intent to that suggestion, to provide that flexibility.
Yeah, I think basically the first one, number 2, I don't have a strong feeling at all, but I think not having, stopping on Broadway, I think, because I see it, and sometimes, as you say, the Amazon guy who kind of doesn't really pull all the way off. And, it's kind of a safety issue. It's an annoyance issue for sure. And I'm guessing Fargo Lane being so narrow, that I don't think the neighbors are going to be super happy about having a bus park.
I was going down
in 2 minutes.
You beat me to it.
So I would say that one, I would say that, I'd probably be against that change off the bat. So if the Fargo Lane people tell me differently, they want buses parked there, but I can't imagine they would. So, I actually thought that was a strong piece of the original draft, was that everything was on site. So I think that was one of the big issues of the fashion show, was that there was a lot of buses almost constantly stopped there, and it was a major challenge.
We had this condition from the very beginning, way before the fashion show.
Right.
This was a condition.
And I think we saw it in kind of, in practice, how disruptive it should be, even with police there. So, and obviously that's a bigger event, but still, I think the blocking of one lane is not great.
One thing I would point out, if the concern is that, maybe a bus couldn't make the turn into the driveway, I think you're going to have to make changes getting in and out of the property anyway, because for firefighting purposes. So I think if a fire truck can make it in, a bus is going to be able to make it in. So I don't know that, anyway, I just wanted to point that out. If there was a concern that maybe a bus couldn't turn in there, that would be a valid concern, but I think you're going to have to address that.
And I think with the unfortunate accident with, what was it? Was it a FedEx vehicle?
Well, that's one.
With the pillar.
That's one pier.
My understanding is that the widening is going to be open when those are reconstructed. So
Amazon would have left.
that'll be addressed, yeah.
That's good. I guess the other reason, just because the way I've been wrapping my head around this whole thing is that, what if somebody lived in the house, right? Like instead of it was going to be the programs that you're running, you know, and then, well, that person will be allowed to have parties in the backyard and barbecues and, you know, and a lot of what you guys have been asking for fall within that very neatly, you know what I mean? But number 9 takes it really out of that, because nobody's going to have buses and drop off outside of their home, because you want your guests to be close. If you're going to have, you know, a July 4th party and people will come in, you want them to be able to come to the property. So as far as the way I've been looking at this, number 9 jumps out at me as being important to that kind of way of looking at the permit as a whole, if that makes sense.
Understood.
Anyone else on the board, or else we can open it up for public comment? And I do have the two letters. So if no one wants to talk, I can talk some more.
Yes, no one.
Jesse, you want me to read your letter? I can do it in a funny accent. Can you sound appropriate? Leaf blowers is that? Yeah, exactly. But in the background, drowning me out.
All right, so let me keep this really brief. Just on the leaf blower subject, I would be interested to have like a tug of war leaf blower style, like to see which would actually battery versus gas. Anyway,
John Henry.
could be interesting. All right, so look, so I'm just going to read off and keep it quick. While we obviously support the mission of the change in use request, right? I think, speaking for myself and some community members, we're just not comfortable with commercial outdoor events at night. That's the primary concern. You know, we have positive momentum in terms of having a community meeting, so that's great. That, you know, we're going to have that this Wednesday. So I'm hoping that we can find some common ground on some of these things that are concerning people, and hopefully that we can come back to the board as a group and kind of present some of the things that we got comfortable on, and perhaps include that in the application. That would be my hope. I'm just going to repeat a couple things. I ask that we walk before we run with this application. A shorter term approval, I think, would really hold everyone accountable, and both sides, the neighbors, for being reasonable, and Bill for operating a neighborly business, not for profit. Again, I think noise, traffic, and just keeping the residential neighborhood is the main concern. And the last thing I'll say is that hearing busloads of people, coming to directly next door to me is concerning, right? And I would ask that you as trustees, mayor and trustees, just think about having busloads of people coming next door to you, right? It's concerning, right? And I don't know how things will go, and hopefully it goes great, and maybe it's not an issue, but I just think the tighter we can make the request that work for both sides, I think the better off, the relationship will be for the neighborhood. And that's all I ask. Thank you.
Thank you. Sure.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the board. My name is Judd Harsher. I reside at 65 North Broadway, just south of Villa Lawara. My wife, Kathy, and I were before the board last month. My wife regrets not being here tonight. There's an Irvington Sports Award dinner tonight, and my daughter, who's a senior, is attending. The one thing before I went into some comments, going back earlier into this evening's meeting, there was some correspondence, and I know one of the correspondence was postponed by Jesse. There was another correspondence by Lombardi, the Octagon House, that I don't know if that was addressed.
I'll be reading it next. But I'd rather have the people here talk first.
Got it. All right, got it. Okay. I just wanted to mention that. And that since we're talking about the Octagon House, I wasn't sure if whatever. I don't know if the Octagon House within its special permits has events sort of hard coded into it. Okay. A couple of comments and just concerns or whatever from last week. I had sort of this outstanding item in my mind just on the AKRF acoustical analysis, which was during last month. I had said that the that the analysis, the sound study, did not use any amplified music. It was just all sort of statistical projective. During that meeting, Jennifer Gray had corrected me and said that I was wrong. And I was like, I don't know, let me just go back. And I did reread the analysis. I did contact AKRF. And Larry, thank you for, coordinating the communication, because I was looking for this clarification. And Jennifer did confirm that there were no loudspeakers in the operation during any of the two surveys. So it's just this sort of, they take an ambient sound test and then just assume what the sound is going to be. And when you think about sound, and this is from the Irvington's, Irvington's unnecessary noises. An excerpt from it says, any noise which reasonably either annoys, disturbs, injures, or endangers the comfort, response, health, peace, and safety of others in the village. And two words, comfort and peace. And when you have loud noises from an event, that will disturb the comfort and peace of our home. I just wanted to highlight that. Talking about, kind of village code as well, or laws. I was just looking through the adaptive reuse law, and I was just kind of perusing it. And
The what law?
this is the adaptive reuse local law number 13, 2018. And it says, and I don't know if maybe it says, this is number C on number 7C. It says at least 10 days before the date of any public hearing, the village clerk shall transmit the secretary of the zoning board of appeals a copy of the application. I did reach out to Sarah Palermo today to send an email. I called and sent an email just to see if this application had been presented to the secretary of zoning board of appeals. Aside from the fact I am a member of the Board of Appeals, and I don't recall any application being presented to the board. I just wanted to make that observation. So that's here, we got that. And yeah, I mean, I was actually surprised to see the draft tonight, that was kind of submitted within the agenda. I was surprised to see it because there seems to be a lot of outstanding issues. Is there a definitive parking plan? I don't know. Yeah, I just don't, I don't know if that's defined. I know that there were some fire safety provisions that were sort of open-ended. I don't know if those were detailed out. Programs and events in the proposal seem to be, combined, and I don't see any kind of wording that says in adaptive reuse events like and events. It's just not in there. So that's concerning. And then the other thing is the comments that were made by the Irvington Historical Society, which I wasn't aware of, which was that the adaptive reuse can be used, but you want to see that like the home is in, getting repaired. And I live next door. I mean, there's I don't know where these pigeons are from, but I think there's like pigeons living in the attic, like flocks of pigeons and stuff. So I just don't see the effort to do it. And then the thing that's concerning is like even tonight, with item number 9, it's like we want, as Jesse says, we want to walk before we run. Let's just get this approved with the tours and, a caretaker living there. Why do we have to have events? Let's walk, then see how it goes. And my concern is the old, you give an inch and take a mile. It's like Jennifer with number 9. It was on her agenda about not having parking on the buses on Fargo and Broadway. In the spring, there was a small event. I think it was like 60 people, but there was some sort of bus that was just kind of circulating around, and it was kind of going on Circle, it was going on Fargo, it was on Broadway. And I think it was also like the bus driver just didn't really know where they were supposed to park. So they were just kind of like meandering around. So again, it's it's a concern, and I think my wife also wrote an email today, and she regrets not being here. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody online? Anybody else?
If I can respond to a couple of the comments, I think most of the last speakers, and I'm sorry, how do you pronounce your last name? Harsher, thank you. I think most of Mr. Harsher's comments can be addressed through the submittals that we've made over the years. We do have a detailed statement of use, a detailed parking plan. It's all in there. We never said that the use would be silent. I think, to Mr. Bard's point earlier, if this were occupied by a single family home, they would be permitted to have parties. They would be permitted to have folks out on the back balcony speaking, conversing. As neighbors in a tightly knit community, you're going to hear voices from your neighbor's lawn. You're going to hear music playing on a back deck. Neighbors aren't supposed to be silent, and that's why we have the noise code in place. If noise does get to the level where it's an annoyance, where it's interrupting the peace and comfort of your neighbor, that the code can be enforced by the police department. So at the end of the day, that is the backstop, and that is the protection that the village has, not just for this property, but for every property within the village. I think you heard from Steve Tilley at the last meeting about all of the repairs that have been going on and the restorative work within the home that he's been undertaking over the past, I guess, years at this point. And there is still work to be done, absolutely. And that's part of what I believe was the purpose of this adaptive reuse code amendment, is to allow for uses other than a single family home in your historic buildings within the village, to enable the house to be preserved, to provide some other type of use other than a single family home. Not every single family homeowner can afford to undertake all of the repairs and restoration work that are necessary for these older historic homes. So I think that's the real the real benefit and an attribute for this adaptive reuse code amendment that the village undertook several years ago. Unless there's anything else specific that the board would like me to address, we're happy to answer any other questions that you may have.
I had a couple of things. I had a couple of things to respond to Mr. Harsher.
Okay.
One about, about the secretary of the zoning board.
Yes.
This would not go then on to the zoning board. It just goes to the secretary of the zoning board. The way this is done, well, Larry could explain it. It's done through the village clerk.
Yeah, I mean, the person you refer to does some of the administrative work for sure, but the real receiver of the documents related to zoning board is the village clerk.
Right.
And so the village clerk obviously hasn't copied the application.
Yeah, and then
Transfer to the Secretary of Zoning Board of Appeals. So what does the village clerk do once it's there?
it doesn't say you have to do anything beyond that, just.
It
that
says
you have
shall
to go to-
transmit.
Right, to
To the
her,
secretary.
and it went to her.
Okay, gotcha, okay. That's what, I was just
Yeah.
making an inquiry, did it? Yeah.
Right, and the thing about, and this was a comment, I think, both in your letter, and I think maybe your wife's letter too, that the special permit conditions didn't say anything about the number of events. But what it does say is it says it's only allowed as detailed in Appendix A, including the frequency of those uses. And Appendix A has an estimation of how many tours and how many events there could be. I think it said like 6 to 8 events a year. So they have to be read in combination with that. Same thing with the park. And then finally about the fire code and stuff. Well, there is a provision that the condition that it has to at all times comply with the relevant provisions of the Uniform Fire and Prevention and Building Code. And more importantly, they won't get the CFO until all of the fire standards and building standards are met. They won't get the CFO. So.
That was your point about buses, right? That they're going to have the fire code satisfied to get fire trucks in there, right?
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
That's something that got
Yep.
some work to be done.
Yeah, well, and again, I'm not an engineer on this, but just thinking about the size of a bus versus the size of a ladder truck, they're probably very similar. So if they could satisfy one, they could probably accommodate the other.
I was just making sure I was connecting the dots properly.
That's it. You got it.
Also, I'd like to read the Octagon House letter. We wish to clarify comments made during the May 15, 2023 special permit Villa Lawara. Our family has maintained and conserved the National Historic Landmark Imar Steiner Octagon House since 1978. Beginning in 2018, we've had our privilege of sharing our home with the community by providing guided tours by appointment as part of a special permit granted by the Village of Irvington. Since being granted the special permit, there's only been one event in 2021. We were asked to use the grounds to awards to retiring Irvington Board of Trustee members Connie Kehoe and Janice Silverberg in conjunction with the fundraiser. Felt obliged to honor the request as they have been instrumental in granting the special permit. We're led to believe by the organizers the event had been vested. Yeah. We were saddened to subsequently receive a letter from the village that the Octagon House had not obtained approval for the event. 2016, 3 years prior to the 2019 special permit, we hosted a benefit to raise funds for the Historical Society. We're very mindful the special permit is a privilege and respectful as it is on our impact on our community, striving to always be a good neighbor. Past 45 years, you're not aware of any complaints from our neighbors. The Octagon House does not host events without approval. Since 2019, we even avoided having family gatherings. Thank you for giving the Lombardi family an opportunity to clarify and reinforce our respect and thankfulness for the special permit. That was Joseph Lombardi. Any other comments?
Just read this. I just got one more quick tactical. Sure. I just think it's important for you all to kind of know where everyone is thinking, right? This is from Emily Berry, who lives like diagonal. And she just said she is surprised that we are not more concerned. Let me just try to phrase this right. She's surprised that we're not more concerned with some of the noise violations, being that we just spent an hour and a half on the noise violations from, I hate to go back to this, but some of the leaf blowers. Yeah, I mean, and not to go backwards, but she just said, in the previous event, she couldn't go outside, and inside, obviously, she could hear everything through the walls. So that's it. Thank you.
Yeah, I think the event is similar to the one that we had is not on the table right now, so.
Yeah, the reference to noise violations, I mean, there's no noise violations that we're aware of from the site. And just to address the comment that keeps coming up about walk before we run, I just want to remind the board and the public also of where we started. In 2021, we started with a request to have events of upwards of 400 people. We're down to 115. So I think in the sense that we've drastically reduced the scope of what we're asking for the special permit. In one sense, that is walking before we run. We're also, amenable to all of these restrictions that are being placed on the proposed use.
And I do think a 1-year term.
Exactly. I was just going to bring that up as well. Yeah.
To me, I think it's a key to this whole thing. If we just said it's a special permit, it's for 20 years, then it would be kind of a waste of time, all of our time. So I do think a 1-year permit, whatever the special permit conditions come out to be, we'll have a year then we could maybe go to 2 years, or maybe it's a year again, or that's TBD. But I do think that the short period of time on the special permit is and if it all goes well, we won't have to go through this process again, because it'll just almost happen easily if everything goes as well as everyone thinks it could. That's the short thing for me. It's like 1 year. 1 year is not a very long period of time.
Right.
So it's 6 events, 5 events, something like that. So there'll be proof in the pudding, I think, whatever we come up with at the end.
And then in addition to the walk before you run, we have been having events, some limited programming over the last 3 or 4 years with no complaints. The only real issue that we've seemed to have has been the fashion show. I understand everyone's concerns, but no other complaints have come from anything that we've done since then. And then also I wanted to address the comments about the bus circling. There are going to be some things that we cannot control. That particular event, they were instructed no drop off or pickup on Broadway. the bus chose to circle, there were repercussions for that. We talked to the event owner. They addressed their concerns with the service that they used. And we also had someone on site. I wasn't there that particular night, but I had someone on site who actually went outside to tell the bus driver that he couldn't just hang out in the neighborhood. We also talked to a police officer, I believe, that night as well, that instructed him to move along and then to come back at the scheduled time to pick up guests.
As far as sizing down from 400 people to 115 people, if there's even 25 people or 15 people or 2 people, if there's amplified music, doesn't matter how many people, it just takes one person to turn it on. And you know, the noise from amplified music, or I mean, that's one of our kind of sticking points here. You know, just the whole mission for Villa Luara, we're behind. You know, kind of like the programming, the think tanks, the entrepreneurial spirit of everything, we're behind. I mean, when I met Richard and I said, hey, you and I have something in common. You know, we both went to Babson College, which is like an entrepreneurial school. Like, I'm there. I just don't want events next to my house. And what could events be? Could they sub that out? And, you know, it just seems too open-ended. And then also the location of the events. I mean, I had mentioned it, you know, last month, just about the Carriage House being within the Aqueduct buffer zone. Like, you know, there's a lot of restrictions on what happens within that 30 feet or 50 feet, depending upon how you read the code. You know, having a DJ set up in the Aqueduct zone, I just don't get it. Like, why that would even be entertained. So yeah, just the amplification of the noise is a big concern for us. Thank you.
Anything else? Otherwise, you can probably tell the public hearing is going to stay open. This is the last meeting. You gonna get home? Let's check on Zoom later.
Yeah, nothing.
Okay.
Well, I would just like to wish you all success in the meeting with the neighbors. And I think, you know, hopefully there can be some agreement and we can hear some more positive statements from both sides.
I also thank both sides for meeting. A lot of the issues that come before the board are people aren't talking and listening, and to hear that you guys are getting together makes me feel really good. So I appreciate that on both sides. Thank you very much.
Great. Done. Now to use the 4-letter word known as gas-powered leaf blower again.
Sorry, can I just, is there a date for the adjournment date for the public hearing?
June 22nd?
It's a Thursday, so it's a
Oh, a
weird one
Thursday,
because
okay.
of the Juneteenth pushes the meeting
Yes.
back to a Thursday night.
Thursday, the 22nd.
Correct.
Perfect.
I will be switching this, I'll be on Zoom.
Okay, thank you very much.
Great. Thank you, guys. Thanks, everybody. Yeah. Next up, I'd like to open a public hearing, consider local law amending chapter 148 with respect to gas-powered leaf blowers. Let me know a second.
Second.
All in favor? Public hearing's now open. Marianne?
Yeah, there's just a couple of changes in here made at the request of the police department. They're the police chief. They're not really that significant. One is to say that you can't use any gas-powered leaf blower or sprayer at any time. I guess when the police come up sometimes and it looks like it's a gas-powered leaf blower, it's actually spraying insecticides or pesticides or something like that. So that's now included in the ban. And then also, this isn't a change, but it's just worded differently because the police thought it would be easier to enforce if the wording were like this. Responsible parties. The following parties shall have committed a violation of this thing if any of its provisions is not complied with. And these are the following parties. 1, the party operating the gas-powered leaf blower or sprayer. 2, And these are all and the party who employed the person to operate the leaf blower or sprayer, and the party who owns or rents the property where the violation occurs. And then it has the penalty. And so then the second change is to take the penalty out of a different provision if it was. Again, this is not a substantive change. It's just, it's a little easier for the police to understand and use.
So I certainly have no problem with this rewording, and I'm hoping that with this rewording, as a couple of the letters sent earlier, I know Charlotte's been working with the chief, that we can come up with a way of enforcement that will allow the police to maintain relationships with the public and homeowners as they would like to be able to do. Would not take up too much time from the police if they end up having to go back and issue summonses to homeowners, which I guess in Larchmont is done by a code enforcement officer and not by a police officer in general.
Chief of the Fire Department.
That's their code enforcement officer, yeah. That's not our code enforcement.
No.
So again, I think this is, well worded as the chief liked, but we still need to come up with a plan for education and enforcement.
Which I think this law allows them to do.
Right.
But they think they know their handcuff before, so.
I think it's also important that we're not just gonna hold the wage workers responsible for this, right? I mean, as someone pointed out, oftentimes it's not their decision, they're handed a machine and go. And clearly, I think we want the people who are making decisions to be the ones. And a great example of that is Brian's, anecdotal experience with his firms. That's one thing I think I congratulate the chief for making that really clear.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. I just wanted to also say that you hear me. Okay. That I think it is important to sort of maintain good police and community relations, but just like the police issue tickets, the other day I got a ticket on Main Street for being over the line. I didn't even realize I got a ticket and drove off. And then I was mad at myself because I was like, what line was I over? But I think there are rules, and if homeowners, are not going to respect the rules, I do think that the homeowner is in the best position to change the behavior. I think I've said this before, and I'm just going to repeat it. It is really problematic to me to even hear tonight that the landscapers are like, well, it's the workers' problem because, that they're really probably the lowest person on the totem pole with the least power. So I think if we pass this ban, we can't, we can't say that we're going to not enforce it against the people who have the most control and the people who are signing the contracts with the landscapers. So to me, it's extremely important. And even if it means it's not the best thing, like that the homeowners doesn't want that from a police officer or from whomever to get their ticket, but those are the rules. And so if we have those rules, people have to respect the rules. So that's it, period.
Can we ask the board, otherwise we'll open up to the public? Okay, I think we have enough information. We can.
Well, I'll just say that I heard back from the mayor of Larchmont again about how onerous it was for the code officer, right, the person, the chief fire department, to actually enforce the code. And she said there were 4 times, so it wasn't actually that much. And even as the landscapers were staying outside, people don't want to call the police. So I don't think it amounts to being like a part-time position, is really what I'm trying to say.
Any other public comment? Otherwise, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing. Do I have a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. I think I'm ready to vote. Be enacted by the Board of Trustees of the Village of Irvington as follows. I'm just going to read the changes. Added work sprayer to 10A. 10D was changed to responsible parties. The following parties shall have committed a violation of section 148.4B10 of any of the provisions not complied with. 1, the party operating gas powered leaf blower or sprayer, and 2, the party who employed the person to operate the leaf blower or sprayer, and 3, the party who owns or rents the property where the violation occurs. E, penalties. Any person found guilty of violating section 148(4)(b)(10) shall be subject to a penalty of $250 for the first offense and $500 for any subsequent offense. And section 2 had the redundant penalty part stricken.
Brian, can I just
Sure.
suggest you make one motion before that motion?
Okay.
And that is that, that because this won't have any significant environmental impacts, you vote a neg deck under secret.
Okay, I'll make a motion to vote neg deck on secret. If I can have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, then we'll back to this one. All ordinances, local laws, and parts thereon consistent with this local law hereby repealed. Section 4, local law shall take effect immediately upon filing the office of the New York State Secretary of State. I'll make a motion if I can have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Brian, I'm sorry, I thought you were done.
No, it's okay. Thank you. No, it's fine. Next up is appointments to the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. I'd like to thank the folks that literally raised their hand at the meeting and then subsequently also applied to be on this committee going forward. So resolved to appoint the following members of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. The term to expire December 2023. Peter Bernstein, Joseph Bloom, Corey Dinkins, Vanessa Pisa, Robert Doughton, Kaimi Furuta, Jorge Magallan, Daria Mastone Peterson, Mary Solani, Natalie Schroeder, Laura Shervin Ryan, Angie Sullivan, and Hang Hee Wong. I'll make the motion. I can have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Guess we'll have to schedule meetings
Second.
in my.
Aye.
Well. Award of purchase contract 2318 for Dakin brand equipment for the Irvington Senior Center. I think this is the HVAC.
Yeah, this is, well, straightforward. This is the equipment that we need for the repairs that need to be made down at the senior center. So again, we did a very quick bid, and we hope to get to this position for the theater at some point soon too, but this is where we are on the senior center.
Okay. Whereas one bid received on May 13, 2023 for Daikin equipment for the Irvington Senior Center as follows: New York Home Maintenance Company doing business as Amer Borelli Mechanical, 147 Wheeler Avenue, Pleasantville, New York, 10570 for $65,911. Whereas the village administrator reviewed the bid submitted and determined that the bidder in order in response to the specifications, now therefore be resolved to award purchase contract 2318 for the Daikin equipment for the Irvington Senior Center at $65,911 to New York Home Maintenance Company doing business as A. Borelli Mechanical. We authorize the village administrator to execute said contract. I'll make a motion if I can have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Authorization to enter into contract for curb installation and replacement. Anything set up here, Larry?
Yeah, so this is similar to the paving contract that the village administers. In this case, the Village of Hastings-on-Hudson put out a curb installation contract that the villages are participating with. So that this is simply a resolution to allow us to piggyback onto that contract. Everything's been reviewed, actually reviewed by our engineer, Doug Hahn, who happens to be the engineer for Hastings, and everything's in order. So that's what this is about. And we have curb work to do, as you probably know.
Yep.
East Sunnyside Lane is the first place we need to do, but there's others.
Okay. Whereas the Village of Hastings-on-Hudson administered the bidding for a contract for curb installation and replacement, jointly with the villages of Ardsley, Dobbs Ferry, Elmsford, Irvington, Sleepy Hollow, and Tarrytown. Whereas the Village of Hastings-on-Hudson is expected to award a contract to Tony Caselli, Inc. of Yonkers, New York, on June 6, 2023. Now therefore be it resolved to authorize the village administrator to enter into a contract with Tony Caselli, Inc. for curb installation and replacement in accordance with the awarded bid and subject to the Village of Hastings successfully awarding said contract. Take a motion if I can have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resignation from the Zoning Board of Appeals. Resolved to accept with regret the resignation of Ken Bernstein as a member of the Zoning Board of Appeals effective May 24, 2023. Ken was actually on this board with us 10 years ago now, something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe 8. And then he moved over to the Zoning Board of Appeals, and I believe they're actually moving. They're going to keep their business in town, but I think they're moving it away. So thank you, Ken. I will make a motion to accept your resignation. If I can have a second. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Next is reports of boards, standing committees, and officers. So we start with Arlene. So everything's like really off the, she's all the way to my left.
Yeah, okay. So I have a few announcements. So the unveiling, I know you announced it at the beginning, is June 10th. That's the second of the 3 events for the to the Irvington's Road to the 4th annual Juneteenth. And on the June 19th, there's going to be a picnic in Scenic Hudson Park from 1 to 3 p.m. With a band. It's everyone bring your own picnic, and it's a celebration of Black music. Also, the Green Policy Task Force is on the same day, June 10th of the unveiling, later in the afternoon, going to have an aqueduct cleanup. I believe that is 2 to 5 p.m. Of course, I can't find it on my computer right now, but people should look out for that. I know that information was sent out. Yeah, okay, perfect. And then also, if you all have seen on Main Street and Bridge Street, the bulldogs are out. So the Bulldog Gallery Committee has been getting out the bulldogs. It's been very, very exciting.
They look great.
Yeah, they're saying they look great.
They look great. Okay, yeah, good. And I just want to say a special thanks to DPW, who helped with getting the stands out there and securing them properly with weighting them down. And I'm hoping no kids run by and touch them. I saw some people like slap them and I got a little nervous. But Christina Schmidt and the whole committee has been doing a great job. Joe Archino has been very helpful. So just a lot of different groups of people working together. So that's been very, very fun and exciting. And I think that is it for me. Just also DPW though, I just wanted to say they sent me their normal report. They've been doing a lot of working with different groups, but really the Bulldog Committee, the work that they did with the Bulldog Committee really has been excellent. Really, really grateful to Todd Smith and all the people who've been working on that.
Great.
That's it from me.
Cool. Larry?
I don't have a report for tonight.
All right. Doc?
Reiterating Brian's comments about Memorial Day and giving a shout out to Nina Capel-Dawson, Richard Park, Kevin Gallagher, and Jim Englishby for their help and support. A shout out to the leadership of the Irvington Girl Scouts. I'm not sure if you know, but 120 girls and many parents participated in a sleepover at the O'Hara Nature Center on Saturday night.
Yeah.
Saturday night. Not raining, but cold, and quite a scene. The splash pad at Matheson Park is now open from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. every day. The Station Road Playground is still closed to the public, but progress is being made. There was an inspection of the equipment, and they'll be addressing some of those recommendations. Pathway and retaining wall repairs should begin this week. There'll be tree trimming in Scenic Hudson in the Memorial Park this week. The Scenic Hudson basketball courts are having some patchwork done in preparation for the Summer Basketball League and will be closed tomorrow and should reopen no later than Wednesday. Day camp registration still ongoing. We're up to 240 campers already registered for summer camp. The department is accepting group permits for Scenic Hudson and Matheson. Applications available online. Grills and tables ought to be reserved because there's some heavy use. The Community Advisory Board meets tomorrow at 8 a.m. Senior Citizen Center will be closing at the end of the month due to installation of the new heating and air conditioning systems, if they're on schedule.
Well, I mean, you just approved us to buy them, so.
Unfortunately, the building will need to be closed for 2 to 3 months. Plans are underway to find alternative sites. You can donate to the Irvington Woods Park and Rocktoberfest online or through Joe Archino. And last, we ask that all rules at Halsey Pond are followed, especially the rules for fishing. There are too many occasions where fishing lines are left behind, and that poses a serious danger to wildlife. Please report any sighting of park abuse. That's it.
And Mitch.
It's late. I'm just going to the school district sent out the school quality survey. You probably got it in email, so please fill that out. And I just wanted to mention that on Saturday, I was the volunteer site manager for one of the River Arts Music Tour. We did it right outside of Main Street School. And it was such a great event. We had people coming for all 5 bands. The first band at 1 o'clock was a bunch of college kids. And all the parents and friends came out. There were people coming around all day who didn't know that there was the event going on and stopped with their kids to watch. Other people made a trip out to come even though they didn't know anybody in the bands. I don't know if it's whether people in the village were enjoying this or people were coming from outside the village because they thought the bands looked like they wanted to see, but it's a great event to bring people into the village and keep people engaged. And it was just a real fun day. And I think it's funny, we needed to run electricity out of the school. And I forgot to ask Joe this year just to check just in case, because he's usually on top of it. I dealt directly with the janitor, Angel, who was great. And as I'm setting up, Joe's car walks by and goes, "You all set on electricity?" He said, "We're good, thanks, Joe." And he drove off. So that was very nice of him to check in just in case. So it was really
Great. Village Administrator's report?
Well, just quickly, I think today would have been the last day of construction on East Sunnyside Lane for the gas main project. So I think starting tomorrow, everything should be open, and unless something went wrong, but that's what I heard.
Does that include like paving over so they don't have the metal plates anymore? Or
No, I think they're going to backfill and get the plates out. I don't know about the timing of that, but I think the road should be open is the point.
Okay.
So, and then the final paving is going to take even longer because we need to put in curbs, and Con Edison is not rushing back to do the final paving.
That's it. Great. Village Clerk Treasurer's report?
Property tax bills were mailed out last week, and the first half is due June 30th. Payments can be made by mail, online, or in person. To pay online, there's no fee for an e-check, but there's a 2.95% fee for credit card payments. I've also gotten some questions. I guess Town of Greenberg mailed out the 2023 assessment information. So any grievance applications must be filed by the 3rd Tuesday in June, and any questions on that should go to Town of Greenberg. They didn't give too much. I inquired based on the questions on how Irvington's assessments rose compared to the other villages, but they said on average, there's about a 5% increase in assessments. And then other than
Townwide or village-wide?
Village-wide. And then we're busy working on our fiscal year-end close. Our preliminary audit is scheduled for June 16th, and the final audit is scheduled for the week of July 10th.
Great. Village Attorney's report?
No report.
Any public comments? Do we have help? Action items? I'll make a motion to adjourn. Wait a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Second.
Bye, Arlene.
Bye.
Thanks.
By the way.
Bye.